Have you felt this inner gnawing and prompting? And it's deeper than just a passing thought. It's something that you try to ignore, and you literally feel this tug, this pull. And it came out of nowhere. It's like, this is not on my list to do. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Practical Applications for Daily Living. I am your host, Dr. Renita Glenn White. I go by Dr. V. I'm your certified and credentialed elite life changer, which is a fancy way of saying life coach. I help high achievers, entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, top leaders. I help you to reassess, realign, reinvent, and realize who you be at your core so you can be the CEO of YOU. Your Chief Expansion Officer of your own universe. And no matter how great you are, you can always go to different levels and expand your capacity for more. Because if you're still breathing, you still have more to offer. So these are very quick, short insights that I share with you. I share them from my Bible, from Joyce Meyer, The Battlefield of the Mind. And I love sharing these and reading this Bible because, the word mindset has definitely been trending and popular nowadays, especially in the coaching industry. And I remember just way back as a young kid growing up in church, going to classes, it was always about the battlefield of the mind. And I never connected that it was mindset. So I read these practical insights, share my insights with you. One, because everyone may not get this resource. And two, I don't want to just talk about things and say, okay, you can just have a good life. But I want to share some practical things that we can do every day, things that I've done, things that I share with my clients, and the things that people just do that are successful, but they don't realize that they do it. It's unconscious for them. I also want to say, even though I'm reading out of the Bible and I share passages from the Bible, I'm not saying that you have to be a Christian or read the Bible or believe in God or any of that. But I'm just sharing that the foundation of a lot of things that you hear about mindset and success are foundational from the Bible. So just listen with opening ears. Whatever you want to take it. If you don't want to take it, just leave it. But allow something to penetrate in your ears and your heart, and you may get some insight that you didn't even know you were ready for or wanted. All right, so in this passage, I'm going to read. It says, how would you feel if God told you to leave your home, your family, and everything familiar and comfortable to you and head out to who knows where? Would you be full of fear, or would you be able to take steps of faith and obey God? Elizabeth Elliot, whose husband was killed along with 4 other missionaries in Ecuador, said that her life was once controlled completely by fear. Every time she started to step out, fear stopped her. A friend told her something that set her free. She said, why don't you do it afraid? Remarkably, Elizabeth Elliot and Rachel Saint, sister of one of the murdered missionaries, went on to evangelize the Indian tribes, including the people who killed their brother and husband. If we wait to do something until we are not afraid, we may accomplish very little for God, for others, or even for ourselves. Abram, who was Abraham, that was his name before Abraham, had to step out in faith and obedience to God and do what he had commanded. And we should do the same. Let your life be ruled by God's word and not fear. So let's break that down. The first thing, God told Abraham to leave his home. So you may not say, well, God told me, but you may feel an inner prompting, like something in your gut, your intuition is telling you to move to a new city or a new neighborhood, a new state or a new country. And you're like, I have no idea why I'm feeling this way. Have you felt that? Have you felt this inner gnawing and prompting? And it's deeper than just a passing thought. It's something that you try to ignore, and you literally feel this tug, this pull. And it came out of nowhere. It's like, this is not on my list to do. That's a prompting because it's for you to move. So whether you believe in God or not, we all have this internal guidance system, intuition, male or female, we have that. And we are responsible for listening to it. And if you notice, like the more you try to ignore it, then it never goes away. And then wherever you decide to stay, It's like things stop working out. It's like, why is all hell breaking loose? It's because you've ignored that guiding system for you to go into a new place. A lot of times we want to know, well, if I get there, where am I going to live? Where I'm going to stay? Where am I going to do all of this? How's it all going to work out? Now, I'm not saying, well, no, sometimes it is like blindly going. That's what faith is. Because I was going to say you don't want to be irresponsible, but when you're operating at a level where it's a purpose driven, it's a calling, you feel like it's the next assignment, you have to have faith and trust that it will happen no matter what. A lot of times people are successful who would say, I'm not religious, I don't go to church. And you're probably thinking, like, why do things work out for them? It's because these are the laws of the universe. God created the universe. And whether you believe him or not, the laws are going to work. He designed us, and you could say universe designed you, but God designed us to all have this sense of inner knowing. And some people are so tuned in and tapped onto that where they just go and things work out. Well, that's because that's how God designed us. But sometimes when those of us who are Christians or in the church and read the Bible, sometimes we push all of that down and then say that we want to have faith, but we ignore how God designed us. So sometimes you can be so spiritual or so religious that you ignore things and you're like, well, I'm just going to pray on it. Some things you don't have to pray on. He built you to say move. And you have to have the faith to move. And a lot of times we don't understand what the faith is because we haven't exercised that muscle. We try to let everything try to work out first, or try to see and plan so far in advance that we don't recognize faith. But we have to be like Abram in this case, move when we get that prompting and have faith that everything will course correct. And then, so this story, talking about Elizabeth Elliot, I don't know who she is, but I gave you some background. Joyce gave us background in this commentary. So, doing things afraid. I don't know why we try to get rid of fear. We've done so much afraid, and fear is just like an emotion. We don't say, well, just do it happy, or we don't put the sadness or excitement or any other emotion. We don't hype it up as much as we do fear. And did you know that fear and excitement have the same biological, neurological signs in our body? And the trick is just to tell yourself, I'm excited instead of afraid. Now, there are times to be afraid, and we're designed to be afraid. That's our protection. If you never had fear, you could get eaten, hit, die, whatever. Like if you're out and your body react like, whoa, don't cross that street, a car is coming, or it scared you enough to make you jump back. If you didn't have that, you would probably just walk out in the middle of the street and get hit. So we shouldn't have to get rid of fear. It's just learning how to manage it. We know how to manage happiness. We know how to manage being sad. We know how to manage being overwhelmed. We know how to manage other emotions, but fear gets to the top. But what happens is what is behind the fear? So it's not like, oh, I'm just afraid to do that. You have to sit and say, what's behind it? So Elizabeth Elliot, she realized she was being controlled because again, I don't know her story, but based on this, it's like, well, I don't want to go out and be a missionary because the last time they killed the other missionaries and I don't want to die. I don't want to be killed. But then there's a part of her saying, well, if this is where God is calling me, I have to trust and believe that he's going to take care of me, or if I perish, let me perish. But I want to make sure that I am not stopping something because I don't want to do something or because of my own fear. We never know where we're designed or being planted to grow, to share for others. And I think when we get outside of ourselves and say that we're not just here to live a life unto ourselves, we are here to utilize the gifts and talents that we were created with to give to others. That's why they're gifts, to give away. Fear in that sense starts to dissipate because it's not about you. It's not about me. I used to be so afraid to come on the camera, and you would think I had a fear of being visible, but it's not true. I was a teacher, so I taught middle school and high school live. Okay. I did conference presentations all across the United States and internationally, standing in front of complete strangers talking. Well, why couldn't I get on this little camera with nobody in front of me and talk? There was something deeper than that. So it wasn't just fear, it was judgment, or what would somebody say about me? What if nobody watched? It was all of those things. So we have to be careful when we say, oh, I'm just afraid to do something. It's something behind that. And then so it's like, when we hear out in the road, just do it afraid. Yes. And part of that is biblical. And part of that is just how the world operates. Inventions are created when people know that it's a chance that this may not work or it may not get picked up, but they do it anyway because there's another possibility that it will work. So you're going to always have this fear. And it's a healthy fear is good, like a little nervousness. It's like, okay, because I want to make sure I'm going to do my best to put it out there. So don't get rid of fear. Just like you wouldn't get rid of joy or peace or happiness, learn how to work within it and understanding that it's necessary, it's biological, it's part of us. Then the other part says, if we wait to do something until we're not afraid. Yes, if I waited to until I was not afraid to stand up in front of little kids or high school students and teach, I would have not had a job. And I would have never gone on to be a college professor. And I would have never gone on to start my business if I waited to get over the fear of working with little kids, if I had it. If you are afraid to write start well not even write a book, to just start writing passages on in a Word document, then if you don't do that, then how in the world you think you're going to write a book or sell a book or be invited somewhere to speak? So we never know what little thing that we start doing when we do it afraid, where it leads to. The other part of this is sometimes we want to jump to the story of Abraham where he got his territory enlarged. And I know there's a gospel song like enlarge my territory, but especially in the Bible, there were a lot of territories that had enemies there, armies. So it's like you want this ground, but then you're afraid. You may have to fight for this territory, or you may have to be bold. And that's what this is titled, Boldness. Step out and go after what you want. Opportunities. There may be a job that you want to go and get, or a position. Don't you think you may have to, I don't want to say climb over someone, like we're not talking about cutthroat, but you're going to have to use your voice. You're going to have to go for the interview. You're going to have to apply. You're going to have to show up differently and show that you want to be in this position. There are things you're going to have to do along the way to prepare yourself to take over the territory. And each one of them, you have to have a healthy dose of fear. In one way, so you don't get cocky and arrogant and think you just did all of this on your own. But you want to be in a place where stop asking for something big and you can't accomplish the little. If you can't be bold enough to write something on a piece of Word document, your thoughts, I'm just going to share this, I'm just going to type it out. How do you think you're going to go write a book? If you're not able to come on and do a video for a YouTube channel, but you want to be a world-renowned speaker, you can't even accomplish this afraid. You think you're going to jump from never opening your mouth, and let's say it's not even a YouTube channel. You may be getting called, or God may be leading you to go down to a local church and say something there. I don't know, insert whatever. But then you won't do that, and you think you're going to immediately go from your couch to the stage. Now, I don't know anyone who's ever done that. If you do, go ahead and put the comments down below and let me know. So when we're talking about being bold and wanting things more, yes, do things afraid. Find out what's really behind your fear, because you've done a lot of things afraid. If you went to college, I'm pretty sure you were terrified to go by yourself. I graduated at 17. And when you think about it, I was like on the new side of 17. Like I'm out here just living it up by myself away from home. But I had already been prepared, like travel. My mom let me do summer camps away from home. So I was prepared, but I started afraid with those. So it wasn't like completely terrifying when I went off to college. So a lot of us have done that before. Starting a new job, you didn't know these people. Sure, you probably did an internship in college, but then it's like now you're here all on your own. You were afraid to do that. Now, 5, 10 years down the road, you got your groove. And then it's like, well, it's now you want to go for a new promotion or a different job. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid. No, you're not. You've done this before. So remind yourself, even if you haven't done the exact situation, you've done things where you've been afraid before. And if you're not stepping out, being bold enough to take on your new territory, there's something underneath the fear. Just like this Elizabeth Elliot person. It wasn't that she was afraid to be an evangelist or share the gospel or minister. It was, oh, the last time I went, these people killed my husband. So you have to know what's underneath that. And she was like, well, regardless, I feel called and led to do it, I'm going to do it anyway, because the fear is not going to change anything. I still have to do that so I can be obedient. I can serve my soul. And when I say serve my soul, it's like I've done what I came to do. I am now empty and complete, and I feel good about it. Because if you ever notice, sometimes when you don't do what you know you need to do, you don't feel right in your body, because that's where the energy built up and it had to go somewhere. And if it doesn't go out, it's going to stay in. I can't guarantee how it's going to feel if it stays trapped inside your body. All right, so let me know what was your takeaway from this. Let me know what new territory you're going to take. And if you're still struggling with fear, I have some resources available for you. You can go visit drvernitaglenn-white.com/resources. You see it here on the screen, and I will also make sure I put some information down below. Stay tuned after this series to hear a message that I want to share with you, a resource that I want to share with you in depth. I want you to make sure you go watch that, listen to it, and I hope you are inspired and empowered to take your next step. And so remember, this is a dialogue, not a monologue. And the way we do that is for you to comment down below. I do go back and engage with you, and I would love to hear your insights. And even if you don't agree with everything, just share something that makes you say, I never thought about that, or just share your opinion as well. So thank you so much for listening and learning with me. Remember to embrace your unique brilliance, expand your capacity for more, explore new possibilities, and elevate your reality. We need you to do all of that because you are the igniter to someone else's fire. And as you're doing that, remember to be well, to be empowered, to be bold, and to be brilliant. Until next time, bye.
Dr. Glenn White. I go by Dr. V, and welcome to Ignite Your Brilliance, how to jumpstart your life for the life that you deserve. All right, so you're probably here from Cultivate Your Brilliance, another similar course, or some sort of complimentary gift that I put out for beliefs or affirmations, or you could have been like, I just came here because you said, click here, right? So however you got here, thank you for coming. So if you're like me, sometimes you're like, just tell me what I need to know. I don't want to read everything. Just tell me what I need to know. Then I'll decide if I want to keep going or click the link straight to let me have access. So I'm like that. So there's no judgment. So in this particular course package program that I put together, it's a series of things. And in the big picture, I do start with cultivating your brilliance, then igniting your brilliance, and there are other steps, but you don't technically have to start there. You can start right here. So there are 3 phases to ignite your brilliance. In the first phase, you're going to take an assessment. And in that assessment, it showcases the 12 areas of your life. Because how are you going to start building the life that you want or the life that you know you deserve if you don't know all the possibilities of what you can have? So we start with an assessment for the 12 areas of your life. Sometimes I've talked about 5 areas, 9 areas, but I think 12 is a good number for you to really open up and explore. So you rate yourself. And then you move into what I call the Jumpstart Challenge. A few months ago, I did a challenge on these 5 areas. It was great. And I was like, well, I got good feedback, so let me take those down and then present them into a package. So what it did was you have the assessment, and then I give you an example of the areas that you can focus on and how you go through that process. I break them up, like, let's say, for example, health and wellness, or the spirituality or finances. And then I give you strategic things to do in those mini classes. So this is a pretty robust, I'll say, program, but it's very doable because those sessions are like 10 to 15 minutes long. And then you have a workbook to go with that. So you can actually not just take in information, but you can also implement. Remember, I said a lot of us have information. We're information junkies. We take it all in, but we have implementation issues, right? So then you do work there. What I also love about what I put together and how I experienced this and how I've been able to upgrade my life and help others is not only do we take the assessment, not only do we go through an example of how can we map out the life that we want in certain different categories, now we take it into a deeper step into what I call the grit and grace check-ins. And now those are a little more extensive. They're 10 lessons, but they're bite-sized. They're about 5 to 7 minutes long each. So you can do them over a period of time. And what it does is it addresses the limiting beliefs. And do you see a pattern? It addresses the limiting beliefs that are stopping you from certain areas of growth in your life. So not only am I just talking to you, but I'm saying here, these are the deep dive questions to ask yourself. These are the things that you need to start uncovering and paying attention to so you can ignite your brilliance into the life that you deserve in whatever areas that you choose. You don't have to use the areas that I suggested in this particular program. I do give you an example so that you're able to transfer that knowledge to any other area. I believe in having a framework that you can keep coming back to, and that's what Ignite Your Brilliance is. You can always, no matter where you are in life, start with the assessment because things change as seasons change. So you want to be able to rate yourself. And then wherever you are, I want you to be able to go back and look at those challenge videos and say, okay, these were the steps I took in this area. Now I can apply them into this area. And then when we go back down to the grit and grace check-ins, regardless of where you are, you can still track your growth. But then if you're at a new level, you may want to still come back to those questions and say, well, where are you now? How are you answering those questions about yourself at another level? All right. So it is pretty robust. And then I also, it's optional, but I would recommend that you take this. It's getting to the Facebook group. I am in there in the Facebook group. Now, it's not like a coaching program in the group, but I do pop up in there if you have questions or, if you want more clarification. It's just another way to have community as well, because you don't want to ignite on your own, right? You want to be in a community where you've been cultivated, you've ignited, and then possibly elevate and accelerate your brilliance to another level. All right, so thank you so much. I can't wait to see you on the other side. Keep reading down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.